Emily grew up in a small town where everyone knew each other's name. The houses stood close together, their paint faded by the sun. On Sunday mornings, families packed into the little white church at the end of Main Street. Life moved slow there, and most people liked it that way. Emily's family was proud of their traditions. Her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, believed in hard work, respect, and sticking close to what they knew. They taught Emily to be polite, to follow rules, and to always put family first. At home, her mother baked pies that smelled like cinnamon and apples. Her father spent long hours fixing cars at his repair shop, his hands rough and strong. To outsiders, the Thompsons looked like the perfect family, but inside their house, there were many rules, and breaking them meant trouble. Emily often felt like a bird in a cage, safe, but trapped. She loved her parents dearly, but sometimes she dreamed of a different life, one where she could make her own choices. Even as a little girl, Emily knew her parents didn't like change. They didn't trust people who looked different or thought differently. Whenever someone new moved into town, her father would grumble. People should stick to their own kind. Emily didn't agree, but she never dared say so. She wanted peace at home. She wanted her parents to be proud of her. As she grew older, Emily's dreams grew bigger. She dreamed of going to college, of meeting people from all walks of life, of finding love that wasn't based on color or background, but on kindness and heart. She didn't know it yet, but those dreams would soon put her at odds with the people she loved most. Emily left her small town for college when she was 18. It felt like stepping into a whole new world. The city was loud and colorful. People of every race and background filled the streets. Emily loved it right away. For the first time, she felt like she could breathe. She spent her days studying hard, and her evenings working at the college library to earn some extra money. That's where she met Marcus. Marcus wasn't like anyone Emily had ever met. He had warm brown eyes that always looked kind, and a smile that made people feel safe. He was studying to be a teacher, and he talked about wanting to help kids believe in themselves. He was patient, funny, and smart without trying to show off. At first, they were just friends. We Potbriste were just friends. They laughed over silly jokes while putting books back on shelves. They shared stories about their childhoods, how different they were, but how many dreams they had in common. Slowly, their friendship turned into something more. One rainy evening, as they sat together under the porch roof of the library, Marcus reached out and gently took Emily's hand. She didn't pull away. She didn't want to. It felt right, like finding something she hadn't even known she was missing. Emily knew her parents wouldn't understand. Marcus was African American, and her parents had made their feelings about race clear her whole life. Still, she couldn't imagine turning away from him just because of the color of his skin. That thought felt ugly and wrong. Marcus's heart was good. That was what mattered. As the months went by, Emily fell in love. Real love, the kind that stays strong even when things are hard. The kind that makes you want to be a better person. And for the first time, Emily decided she would live her life for herself, even if it meant facing the anger and hurt she knew were waiting at home. Emily waited until winter break to tell her parents about Marcus. She had gone home, hoping to find the right moment. The town looked the same, with Christmas lights hanging from the trees and snow covering the ground. Inside her house, though, it felt different. Emily's heart beat faster every time she thought about what she needed to say. One evening, as they sat around the dinner table, Emily knew it was time. Her mother had just placed a warm pie on the table. Her father leaned back in his chair, full from dinner, looking relaxed. Maybe, Emily thought, maybe this was the moment. She took a deep breath. "Mom, Dad," she said, her voice shaking a little. "There's someone I want you to meet. His name is Marcus. He's really special to me." At first, her parents just nodded, waiting for her to say more. Then Emily added, "Marcus is African American." The room went still. Her father's face turned hard. Her mother's mouth dropped open. "What did you just say?" her father asked sharply. Emily tried to stay calm. "He's a good man. He's kind, smart," and her father slammed his hand down on the table. The pie shook and almost slid off the edge. "No daughter of mine is going to throw away her life like that," he shouted. Her mother's eyes filled with tears. "We raised you better than this," she whispered. Emily's heart broke a little inside. "It's not wrong," she said, her voice cracking. "Love isn't wrong." Her father stood up, his face red with anger. "If you walk out that door and marry him, you are no longer part of this family. You will not be welcome here." Emily looked at her mother, begging her with her eyes to say something different. But her mother just turned her face away. Tears streaming down her cheeks, Emily stood up. "I love you," she said softly. "But I have to live my own life." She left the house that night with nothing but her suitcase, and a heart heavy with sadness. The snow fell around her as she walked down the front steps, each step feeling like it tore a piece of her away. Behind her, the door slammed shut, and this time it didn't open again. After leaving her parents' house, Emily had nowhere else to go but back to the city, and back to Marcus. When Marcus opened the door and saw her tear-stained face and shivering body, he didn't ask questions. He just pulled her into his arms, and held her tight. In that moment, Emily knew she had made the right choice, even though it hurt so badly. They decided not to wait. A few weeks later, Emily and Marcus got married at a small park in the city. The trees were bare, and the sky was gray, but to Emily, everything felt bright and warm. A few of their close friends came to celebrate, clapping and laughing as Emily and Marcus said their vows. She wore a simple white dress, and Marcus wore his best suit. They didn't need anything fancy. They just needed each other. Starting a life together wasn't easy. They lived in a tiny one-bedroom apartment above a noisy street. Money was tight. Marcus worked 2 jobs, one as a substitute teacher and another at a grocery store. Emily picked up shifts at a diner, serving coffee and burgers late into the night. Sometimes Emily cried herself to sleep, missing her mother's warm hugs, or her father's big booming laugh when he was in a good mood. Sometimes when she saw other families shopping for groceries together, or decorating Christmas trees, a sharp pain would twist in her chest. But every time she thought about giving up, Marcus was there. He would hold her hand and say, "We're building something better, something real." And he was right. Their tiny apartment slowly turned into a home, filled with second-hand furniture, worn-out books, and laughter. They cooked dinners together, burning the food more times than they wanted to admit. They danced around the living room. When good songs came on the radio, they made new traditions, ones built on love, not fear. Even in the hardest times, Emily knew she had chosen a life where she could be fully herself. And though she carried a deep sadness for the family she had lost, she also carried a bright hope for the family she was building. The years went by, and life slowly got better for Emily and Marcus. Marcus got a full-time teaching job at a local elementary school. Emily found work at a bookstore, a place filled with stories and quiet smiles. They moved out of their tiny apartment into a small, cozy house, with a little yard where flowers could grow. It wasn't fancy, but it was theirs. One spring morning, Emily stood in the bathroom, staring at a tiny white stick in her hand. 2 pink lines. She was pregnant. Tears filled her eyes, but this time they were tears of joy. When she told Marcus, he laughed and spun her around in the kitchen, knocking over a bowl of apples. They didn't care. Their family was growing. 9 months later, after a long, hard night in the hospital, their daughter was born. They named her Lily, after Emily's favorite flower, the flower that keeps blooming even in tough soil. Holding Lily for the first time, Emily felt a kind of love she didn't know was possible. Tiny fingers wrapped around her own, and Emily whispered, "You are so loved, always." Lily had Marcus's warm brown eyes, and Emily's smile. She was perfect. Life became busy and full. There were sleepless nights, messy mornings, and endless piles of laundry. There were first steps, first words, and first birthday cakes smashed by tiny hands. There were hard days too, days when Emily missed her parents, so much it felt like a hole in her chest. She wished they could see Lily. She wished they could know this joy. But every time sadness tried to take over, Emily looked at Marcus and Lily, and reminded herself of what she had built. Her life was full of love. Real love. Love that saw people for who they were, not the color of their skin or where they came from. Sometimes when Lily was asleep, Emily would sit by her crib and whisper, "You will never have to choose between who you are and who you love." The pain of the past still lived inside her, but it didn't control her anymore. She had chosen a different way, a better way, and she was proud of the life they were making, one day at a time. It was a cold gray afternoon, when the phone rang. Emily was in the kitchen, helping Lily color a picture at the table. Marcus was outside fixing the wobbly mailbox. The call came from a number Emily didn't recognize. She almost didn't answer. Something deep inside her told her to pick it up. "Hello," she said, her voice cautious. There was a long pause on the other end, and then a familiar voice said, "Amiam, it's Daniel." Emily's heart jumped. Daniel was her younger brother, the boy she used to chase through the fields behind their house, the boy who cried when she left all those years ago. "Daniel?" she whispered, gripping the phone tighter. "Yeah," he said. His voice sounded different, older, sadder. "I'm sorry to call you out of nowhere. I thought you should know. Dad's really sick. It's bad, Em. He's asking for you." Emily stood frozen in the middle of the kitchen. Lily tugged at her sleeve, wanting her to look at her drawing, but Emily couldn't move. After a few seconds, she finally found her voice. After all this time, after what he said, the hurt she thought she had buried came rushing back. Daniel sighed. "I know, they were wrong, Em. We all know it now. But he's not the same. Neither is Mom. They're scared. And they miss you. They just didn't know how to fix it." Emily felt like she couldn't breathe. So many feelings crashed into her at once. Anger, sadness, hope, fear. Part of her wanted to hang up. Part of her wanted to run back to the little girl who just wanted her family's love. "I don't know if I can," she said softly. "Just think about it," Daniel said. "He might not have much time." After she hung up, Marcus came back inside and saw the look on her face. He didn't say anything, he just wrapped his arms around her. Later that night, after Lily was tucked into bed, Emily sat at the kitchen table with Marcus. They talked for hours. About the past. About the pain. About what it would mean to open old wounds. In the end, Emily made her choice. She would go back. Not because she forgot what they did. Not because everything could magically be fixed. But because she needed to know if healing was still possible. The drive back to her hometown felt longer than Emily remembered. She sat in the passenger seat, holding Marcus's hand tightly. Lily slept in her car seat, her small face peaceful. As they got closer, Emily's stomach twisted into knots. Every street, every building brought back memories, some happy, some painful. Finally they pulled up to the house, where Emily had grown up. The paint on the front porch was peeling. The once bright flower beds were empty. It looked smaller, older and tired, like the people inside. Emily got out of the car slowly. She lifted Lily into her arms. Marcus stayed close, ready to support her if she needed him. The front door opened before she even reached it. Her mother stood there, her hands trembling at her sides. Her hair was grayer than Emily remembered. Her face looked thinner, more worn. Behind her, Emily's father sat in a wheelchair, a blanket over his knees. He looked so different, his strong, stubborn frame now small and fragile. His face was pale, and when his eyes met Emily's, tears filled them instantly. For a moment, nobody moved. The air was thick with everything they hadn't said for years. Then her father whispered, "Emily, I'm sorry." The words broke something inside Emily. Tears poured down her cheeks as she clutched Lily closer to her chest. Her mother rushed forward and wrapped her arms around them both. She sobbed into Emily's shoulder. "We were wrong," she cried. "We were so wrong. I'm so sorry. Please forgive us." Emily stood there, overwhelmed. Part of her wanted to run. Part of her wanted to scream. But most of all, she wanted to heal. She wanted her daughter to know that even broken things could be mended.
She looked back at Marcus, who nodded gently. He understood. He always did. Slowly Emily stepped inside the house, with Lily in her arms, and Marcus by her side. Her father wept as he reached out to touch Lily's tiny hand. "She's beautiful," he said, his voice cracking. "Just like her mother." Emily's heart ached with both pain and hope. She didn't know what the future would look like. She didn't know if trust could be rebuilt. But standing there, surrounded by both old wounds and new beginnings, she realized something important. Forgiveness didn't erase the past, but it could help shape a better future. And for Lily's sake, for her own heart, Emily was willing to try. The days that followed were slow and hard. Emily didn't forget the years of hurt overnight. She couldn't. The memories of being pushed away, of crying alone, still lived deep inside her. But now, there was something new too, an opening, a chance. Her parents tried in small ways. Her mother made Lily a patchwork quilt, sewing in little pieces of old shirts and dresses from when Emily was a child. Her father, though weak, told stories from his younger days, his voice sometimes breaking when he looked at Marcus, but always trying to sound kind. It wasn't perfect. Sometimes Emily needed space. Sometimes she cried at night, feeling the old pain flare up again. Marcus stayed beside her, never pushing, just holding her hand, and letting her take it one day at a time. One afternoon, while Emily and her mother sat outside, watching Lily chase butterflies, her mother spoke. "I wish I could go back," she said softly. "I wish I had loved you better. I wish I had seen what really mattered before it was too late." Emily didn't answer right away. She watched Lily laugh as she ran across the yard. Finally she said, "It's not too late, Mom. It's not too late to love her. It's not too late to love us." Her mother wiped her eyes and nodded. Healing wasn't a straight road. It came with bumps and wrong turns. Some days felt easy. Some days felt like starting over. But with every visit, every shared meal, every small laugh, Emily's heart began to mend. Her parents learned to love Marcus too. It was slow, full of awkward moments and careful steps, but it was real. They saw the way he loved Emily and Lily, and over time their hearts softened. One sunny afternoon, Emily watched as her father, sitting in his wheelchair, helped Lily build a little birdhouse. Her mother and Marcus laughed together over a burnt batch of cookies. Emily felt a warmth spread through her chest, a feeling she hadn't dared hope for. She realized something important. Forgiveness didn't mean forgetting. It didn't mean pretending nothing bad had happened. It meant choosing to build something new, even from the broken pieces. It meant choosing love over pride. It meant giving her daughter a story that wasn't just about pain, but also about healing. As Lily ran up to her, waving a painted birdhouse in her tiny hands, Emily scooped her into a hug. The past would always be a part of her. But the future, that was something she could help write. And in that moment, with her daughter in her arms, and her family slowly coming back together, Emily knew she had made the right choice. Love had won,